In the last video, I did a real-time sort of demonstration of setting up the main structure of the head using Planal analysis. In this video, I've sped up the process so that you can kind of see the way that throughout the drawing, um, the adjustments made go back and forth. The thing about drawing with value is, as we've said in the past, all value is relative. So when you adjust one value, then other values also need adjustment. So as you work the charcoal in a portrait, you may start to add some darks in one area and realize that it has altered and changed the value relationships around the dark that you just added, which perhaps even previously you thought had been finalized. The relative nature of value basically requires you to consistently reassess where you need to add more dark and more light based on the continuous development of value throughout the drawing. So even in this stage, you're going to see that my drawing isn't finalized. And this is why this drawing is a drawing that is great to do with charcoal, with the fine charcoal. Small adjustments, subtle adjustments, big changes, all of it is so easy with the fine charcoal. It can also be a bit aggravating, and so you go to wipe off a little bit, and you end up wiping off too much. And that's actually why you're seeing me use a brush here. So the brush allows me to kind of like subtly make changes without wiping away too much charcoal, um, almost in a way kind of like paint with the value. Now you've got workable fixative at home. I suggest that you spray the drawing as you're developing it. Just remember not to spray it too close because you will seal the drawing kind of permanently and you won't be able to make changes. So throughout the drawing, you're going to kind of see me creating subtle value shifts with the brush and then kind of going back in, re-enhancing the darks, then perhaps subtly removing some of the darks I just added, like you just saw there. And that really is the balance of the drawing, which is just this constant kind of back and forth between addition and subtraction. Your subtracting of value is just as important as your addition of value. In drawing with value, a lot of the drawing that you do is with the eraser. So one of the things that you're going to see is that in this stage of the drawing, that I am definitely attempting to continue to establish planes, which allow me to continue to seek out structure. Now, one of the reasons why I wouldn't want you to take on a portrait with this type of angle is that there are difficulties in rendering a turned head where we also see the camera was below the figure when the image was produced. And so we're seeing that underneath of my chin, the underneath of my nose, the underneath of my mouth. And that is something which, you have to remain vigilant to not underemphasize and not overemphasize. So throughout the drawing process, not only am I sort of like applying value and subtracting value, but I'm also checking to make sure that the structural planes that I established in the beginning that describe the upturn nature of my head, that describe the upturn nature of my nose, remain true to the photographic source. Ideally, you would learn to draw the figure from life, but working from a photograph is also something which is really helpful. Again, as we've sort of said throughout the quarter, the camera lens is going to distort. It's always going to distort. And so you have to kind of be conscientious of that when you create your image for your self-portrait. So just continuing to move through the process of adding and subtracting, softening, hardening. These are all things that you will find yourself kind of jumping back and forth on during the drawing process. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to refine the drawing. The drawing right here is not what I would consider at a finished state, but I'm going to take it down, spray it with some fixative, and then come back to it to show you how to refine the planes so that they have more subtle shifts and turns, which will help to establish a more dimensional form.